Hi, and welcome to another episode of Faith and Freedom. I'm Garrett, Christian Libertarian, local Chautauqua County rabble rouser, I guess. I talked a little bit my last episode about what I was going to say and some thoughts that I had in terms of our county legislator and the new mandates from Kathy Hochul regarding public spaces with masks or vaccination passports. And most places are picking just to require masks. And this goes from restaurants, bars, churches, schools, sporting events. But our county legislator released a statement that seemed to indicate that Chautauqua County was not going to enforce this mandate. You can tell by his statement, and more so by his actions recently, he is trying to walk that very narrow line and that very precarious ledge of staying in favor with his Republican conservative base in Chautauqua County and not entirely coming under the wrath and condemnation of Kathy Hochul, his political overlord. So I'm not going to read the statement, but it essentially says, we as a county health department advise people to wash their hands, keep their distance, wear masks, and get vaccinated. But since we're so poor and we don't have the resources and we're spread too thin, we're not going to enforce this mandate. So, and people were celebrating. I was cautiously optimistic, but I saw some of my more conservative friends on Facebook like celebrating, yay, we're standing up to Kathy Hochul on this mask mandate. And I said, yeah, maybe we'll see. So fast forward to it was released on I think the Monday, and then it just so happened that Wednesday was the county legislator meeting. And a few of us were going up there to speak during the privilege of the floor. And my main speech was going to be thanking the county legislator and BJ Wendell for sticking to the constitutional motion that they passed a few months ago under the urging of some of the same people that went there with me on Wednesday night. And I also urged them to go a step further and totally unplug the county government from the whole COVID situation. And I think that would be a great step. And I think if a county like Chautauqua or Cattaraugus did it, or if we both did it, like it would kind of be like going against the mandate, sort of standing up to it, safety in numbers type thing. Once one starts, then the other will follow. So I was like, I recommend the county just pull the plug on all this vaccine propaganda that we're putting out, pull the plug on running these vaccination clinics, because one, they're expensive and it's taxpayer money that's being spent on that. Two, they're divisive and we don't need any more of that around this COVID situation. And three, these vaccines are readily available somewhere else. So that was what I gave. But to back up a little bit, when we went up to the legislator, me and another group of freedom-minded individuals to speak, we came into the legislative chamber without a mask on because the county executive, who we took to be kind of in charge up there, indicated that he was going to not enforce this mandate, which turns out to be more of a memorandum than a mandate anyway. So we walked through the security checkpoint with the sheriffs, and they were wearing masks, but nobody said anything until we sat down in legislative chambers. And then the chairman of the legislature, Mr. Pierre Chagnon, requested that we put our masks on and follow the new regulations by the state, because they were all following the legislature or something like that. And there was a little confusion there, and I put my mask on because he's a person of authority, and that's their legislative chambers. And I kind of spoke about this earlier, like that's kind of their house, right? And okay, Mr. Chagnon, if this is your house and this is your request, I'll follow. Some of my fellow liberty-minded folks did not comply with that, and the county sheriff was sitting right in front of us. He didn't seem to want any sort of confrontation, didn't even turn around. Someone who was with the county sort of tried to pass out masks to some people that didn't put their own on. Most people declined that. And throughout the meeting, I think 2 or 3 more times, Chairman Chagnon urged people again to put their masks on. And at one point, he sounded pretty agitated, and he said, I deserve respect, and you are a guest in these legislative chambers. Meanwhile, Executive Wendell, who released this statement indicating we weren't going to enforce this mask law, was silent as a clam. Just sat there. He gave a statement, just a commendation to the legislators that were on their way out. No indication, to get his chairman in line one way or the other, to get his guests in line. Just basically acted neutral, which is confusing, right? So nobody really knows, like, are we enforcing it? Are we not enforcing it? Now there's indication that the state is going to send resources for enforcing it if we need it. Are we going to accept those resources? Are we not? Which is what it is, right? I'm going to support businesses that don't require masks when possible. If not possible, like when I'm going to get my pizza on my lunch break down at Lakewood Crosby's, I'm not going to drive another 20 minutes on my half-hour lunch break to get a pizza from Bridgeview that doesn't require masks. I'm going to put my mask on, go in and get my pizza and get out, right? So that is what it is. But the thing that kind of got me was this, this Sunday, and even the Sunday before when we knew this mandate was coming, this is causing some major tension within the body, at least our body. And, we have a lot of different opinions and a lot of different thoughts within the body. And there are some that they think these mask mandates and all this are a good idea and we should go along with it. I think they have these thoughts all along, but are waiting for these high-ranking government officials for them to push these thoughts. Which I guess my point is, I'm not gonna fight on this hill with my congregation members, because they're brothers and sisters that I love very dearly, despite their different opinions on the masks. And I think we need to have a good open dialogue with one another, and I think we need to find out where that line is, where that Romans 13 really crosses over into asking us to do something that the state isn't authorized to do in terms of a sin or a sin of omission. And I think, render unto Caesar's that which is Caesar's, and render unto God's that which is God's applies here. When I walk through those church doors, that is rendering unto God, and within that sphere, we have different authorities in a different community in there than out when we're in Caesar's world. When we are in God's house with God's people, we default to whatever consensus that we can come up with. When there's wiggle room within Scripture, right? So, take for example, if our church would have gone with option 2 instead of masks indoors, if the elders would have decided, okay, vaccine passports to come in the door, you guys got to show vaccine passports, that would be a hill that I would fight on. That would be a hill that, as a junior deacon, I would raise a fuss about. But just as one parish council member, one active congregant, not an elder, not super besties with any of the elders within that sphere, which I wish, if it was totally my call, we would be everybody do what they feel comfortable with, just go along as we've done the last few months. But I have to submit to that authority that God's put over me within that body. And right now, if it's just masks, I can't find anything in Scripture that says my elders making that determined for me to wear a mask during worship is causing me to sin. It might be uncomfortable for me, but as Christians, we should be used to the fact that we don't judge based on comfort, right? So that's where I am, and that's where I want you to think about. And man, it almost seems intentional, right? That some higher political authority in this country or this world knows this is happening and is doing as much as they can to rouse up this derision within the body. Don't take the bait, okay? Don't take the bait. Don't burn bridges with your brothers and sisters over something as stupid and small as a mask. Find common ground. If you're comfortable with that conversation, outline where that line is, where you think that line is, that it's a sin and that it's compromising your conscience in how you read Scripture. For me, that's a vaccine passport. For me, that's closing the doors of the church again to in-person service. So just something to think about. But have that conversation with the members of your church. Don't let it fester and don't let it boil over. So it's probably way past Christmas, so I hope everybody had a good Christmas and a good New Year. I'll see you next time on Faith and Freedom.